What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Believe it or not, I am back with a very important update on my PSVR 2. For those that don't know, I made a video a couple weeks ago outlining the issues I've had with my PSVR 2. And you can watch the video, or if not, I'll just say that the issues were that the left controller did not work. And so I waited a week or so to post a video. I waited for Sony to kind of give us an announcement, give us a patch, tell us what's going on. I called Sony numerous times to see what I should be doing with this. And so nothing came from Sony. Nothing fixed my unit. And so I decided to take the unit and issue a return. Now you have a couple of options when you issue a return. You could issue a return because it's effective and have them look at it and fix it and send you a new one, or just return it for your money. So what I did was I returned it for my money and I repurchased a new one. That new unit came yesterday. And so I got the unit, which is this unit right here. And I charged the controllers up for 3 hours to make sure I had enough juice to get this thing, up and running. And I put on the headset and I sync the controllers, and guess what? The left controller was still broken. That's right. I received the same exact problem that I had from my first one. The left controller triggers you cannot use in game. And I was like, here we go again. But this time I had more information than I did the first time we were troubleshooting this. So what I want to do is look at this Reddit thread once again, and I'm going to show you what happened and what I did to fix my PSVR 2. That's right. I did get it fixed on my own with the help of Reddit. So check this out, everybody. So this is the thread that the PSVR 2 community has created for these issues. There are now 1,226 thumbs up. There are 26 potential fixes for the left and right controller issue, because we just don't have a left controller issue. People have it on their right controller too. So I'm just going to kind of scroll through this real quick and look at these fixes. They start here and they just go on and on. But let's highlight this and come back to this. So all of these fixes did not work for me. But there were a couple that were added to this list in the middle of me troubleshooting and then giving up and returning my unit. So I figured out, let's see if I can get us on here. There we go. So I figured out, okay, let me go back in and see how many fixes were added since I last tried to fix my controller. And let's see what we can do. It's 11 o'clock at night. I am mad as hell. Sony is not issuing any statement. They know there's an issue. I've spoken with them on the phone. They're just hiding, sitting on their hands. And now we have to fix this. So I came across this highlighted issue here, is this possible solution. Listen to this, everybody. For trigger issues, which I have a trigger issue, they're calling this the flick and blow solution. And it says, flick the trigger on the affected controller, pushing it all the way down and letting it snap back into place, intermittently blowing air into the trigger. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. They are recommending the old Nintendo trick. Remember when your Nintendo didn't work? What did you have to do? Blow into that son of a bitch and then put it in and hope it worked. Well, I read this and I started laughing. I said, there is no way that this is going to work. So I kept reading and it says intermittently blowing air into the trigger. You can use compressed air for this. I do not recommend using anything that will heat up the controller. It may be that this helps to clear a contact on the controllers. And then it says that user MVSPC has offered some additional flicking tips in the comments and also mentioned that they were able to get this to work with just flicking no air. Thank you to the many people who have recommended some version of this solution, which I first saw posted by user ANDNSX. And then it goes on and on. So I was like, I've done everything else. I've stuck this thing with pins. I've reset it. I deleted it, reinstalled. I've done like 20 of the solutions. It's like, why not? Now, just so everyone understands, there is another component to this that came on board after I kind of stopped troubleshooting. A user in Reddit actually suggested that the affected users hook up their controller to a PC and go to a website called Gamepad Tester. And everybody who has affected joy controllers, whatever you want to call these things, DualSense, you can see that it's a physical problem. So go to Gamepad Tester. To everyone that wants to solve their trigger issue by blowing air, go to Gamepad Tester. Then what you do is you hook up your affected DualSense controller to your computer. And what's going to happen is the values that you see should all be 0 except for the axis at the bottom. That's your triggers. Now, what was happening on mine was that the value for B6 was constantly pressed at 1. And I'm going to show you when I press this, watch. See how it moves now? So that was constantly stuck at 1. So I said, okay, this matches up with what everybody is saying who has a left controller issue. If you have a left controller issue and your value of B6 is stuck at 1 or -1, that means there's something on the contact that is preventing the controller from operating normally. So I hooked it up and then I started doing this and I depressed it. And that didn't work. So then I literally started doing the Nintendo trick. Just like they said, ladies and gentlemen, $650. And I started doing this. Then I started shaking it. And lo and behold, ladies and gentlemen, the value for B6 went to 0. And when I pressed it, it went to 1, as it should. And I said, wow, okay, that doesn't mean it's fixed. It just means that this Gamepad Tester says that there's nothing on it and the contact is being recognized when I hit my trigger, when you hit the L2. So I unhooked it from my PC, ran downstairs to where my VR is hooked it up. Moment of truth, it worked. It literally worked as normal. No issues whatsoever. I couldn't believe it. Now, just to spice things up, I never returned my PSVR 2, the one that was broken originally. My thought process was, I'm going to keep the broken one. And if I get the newer one and I had a right joystick that was broken, I could switch them and make one whole unit. So I said, this blowing trick worked on this. Literally pressing and blowing. Let's try it on my broken controller from the first one. And so I hooked it up to the Gamepad Tester. And lo and behold, ladies and gentlemen, it worked. The 30-year-old Nintendo blow trick actually worked in 2023 on a PSVR 2, not once, but twice. And if you don't take my word for it, check this out. Here are some comments, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. I have a working pair of Sense controllers. He says, I tried and tried the compressed air trick, but it never worked. So out of frustration, I blew directly into the mouth of the trigger. Magically, it started registering as being reset when not depressed. I'm so pleased that it's working. So there's two. And then you come down here. Look at this. Fix. The value started flickering as I held the blah, blah, blah. After a dozen attempts, it started working as the left controller. He kept flicking. So his was fixed with flicking. And there's me saying I got it working. Let's see. Let's get one more where they say it. Let's keep going here. There you go. Here's another one. Woohoo! Finally got around to plugging the controller into the Gamepad Tester, and my left controller was not fully released. Blowing air into the trigger and flicking seemed to do the trick. So, I don't know how. I don't know why. Blowing air into this seems to be fixing a lot of people's problems, including two of my units. Guys, this might work. If you have an affected issue, if all else fails, go the Nintendo route. Push down the trigger and blow. I don't know. I don't know what Sony's going to do to solve this, because if they release a statement saying blow into this controller, they're going to get roasted up and down the internet. They're going to have to issue a recall for the affected units and just replace them and somehow figure out what is on these contacts that is preventing the buttons from registering properly. So I hope anyone watching this tries this method. It has worked for a lot of people, including two of my units. I'm still returning the one unit tomorrow morning. I'm going to get it back to FedEx. And let's see what happens on Sony's side. Let's see if they are going to step up and issue some sort of statement, because now we can definitively say this is a hardware issue. This is not a patchable issue. There is something on these contacts, and it's preventing these controllers from working properly. I hope somebody watches this video and fixes their controllers from it. I will be very happy. And thank you to the PSVR Reddit. They're the ones who compiled this in particular. Let's go back a second and just thank the person who's working on this. There's multiple people who have spent tireless hours doing Sony's job. This one is Hoodie the Cat 78. Shout out to Hoodie the Cat for keeping track of this. It's hard work, but my controllers are now fixed. I will see everybody online. I will be streaming this weekend a couple of games, just seeing how it works, testing out how PSVR streams. I hope to see you there. Let's all celebrate now that we kind of getting our units fixed. If you are still having trouble, let me know in the comments. If this blowing trick worked, if this 1988 Nintendo trick worked, let me know in the comments. I appreciate everybody stopping by and following me on this journey. Let's hope more of us can get our units fixed and we can get into the virtual world. I am KevGrit, and I will see everybody in virtual reality very soon. See ya.